This is the TLDR review of Half-Life Alyx medium length with no spoilers. Or as minimal spoilers as I can get through in this review. Half-Life Alyx, was it worth my time and money? I would say yes, definitely. So Half-Life Alyx, I have invested time and money into it, and I believe that this game is time well spent. The mods for it are amazing, and the core gameplay itself was amazing right from the start. Do I show it off? Yes, I show it off. I show this game to a lot of new players, and I show this to everybody who plays any sort of PC VR. This is probably the first game I'm going to show them, and is probably one of the best, if not the best flagship to show them on PC VR. There's a lot of other games that give it a run for its money, but this one still stands head and shoulders above the rest. Anybody who comes into contact with my VR equipment probably has played Half-Life Alyx. It's an absolutely amazing experience, and I hold the game in high regard and close to my heart now, even though it's so very new. Do I use it, and how often? I use it a lot. I use it probably every time I get on PC VR. I either hop on Half-Life Alyx or one of the mods and play around with it, or I check out one of the forums or something like that. I use it quite often, maybe not every day, and maybe not every time I get on, but probably almost every time I get on PC VR to game. How easy is it to use, and does it make new users sick, or is it welcoming? So this is something where Half-Life Alyx shines.
New users still need to be prepared for a locomotion or teleport experience, meaning you still need to move within the environment, and the system does not move around you while you stand still in the environment. For new and experienced users alike, I think VR legs are recommended, but it is still the very first game that I would show new users or experienced users that involves movement within the environment, like locomotion or teleportation, because it is that welcoming. And I will have more on VR legs in a future video.
It is extremely easy to use, very intuitive, everything's well thought out. The control scheme to how it interacts with you, how the virtual world is laid out so it's ergonomic, everything is so easy to use, it's very well thought out. Right now, I'll give you my quick out of 5 rating. It's a 5 out of 5. This is a fantastic game that I would highly recommend to almost everybody who can play PC VR. Did it make you feel something? And is there a content warning? This is pretty important because Half-Life Alyx does make you feel a lot of things. It does connect with the player, it connected with me, it connected with a lot of the people who've played the game. And so it does make you feel something. And I suppose there should be some sort of content warning because it does get into some sort of existential dread and some other things. I will say it is somewhat intense. Yeah, it is a very emotional game, and I pride it for that. I think that is one of its greatest assets, and I implore you to play it. I don't want to spoil it because it's so very close to my heart. I want everyone to experience it the way I did. But obviously this is a review and I have to give you a little bit of insight onto the game. Did you get lost? So that's a very important thing for VR is, were you lost? Even for just a moment, did you forget that you were in VR? Yes. All the time I have dropped controllers on the cabinets that aren't really there, that are only there in VR. My dad has leaned on walls. The game is so hyper-realistic that if you think you could do something, I have had very many circumstances in which I can just do the thing that I thought of, which in video gaming is quite a new experience for me to just be like, I think I can open this door and push it with the edge of my pistol to shoot something, and then you can. With all of that in mind, it does make you get lost. It makes you get very immersed in the game because it feels like you can interact with anything and everything all at once, and all of the controls and all the ergonomics make you forget about the virtual reality system that is interacting with you and making you interact with the world. So, is it funny or frightening, and does it get it? Does the game get it? And I have to say, understanding and being able to understand and relate to someone through humor shows a deeper understanding of the audience or possibly humanity as a whole. And I think that's very important to touch on, especially for Half-Life Alyx. It does talk about funny topics and it does interact with the user, and it made me laugh and it made plenty of other users who've played the game laugh. And it gets it. The game understands its audience quite well and shows it through humor and through being frightening and many other avenues. In the game, they show how they even connect with the audience through obviously being able to frighten someone, which seems like it's very easy for Half-Life Alyx to do because, at parts, this game is terrifying. They do it extremely well, and even though they frighten you extremely well, they also hit core gameplay mechanics of exciting you and making extremely engaging firefights. Then, they add some comedy in to help alleviate the stress in between the frightening parts and the gunplay. All of this combined showed me that they really understand their audience, and they really want to do something that engages their audience in multiple ways, and they want for the player to have an absolutely amazing experience. It gets it. Is it engaging, is it fun, or is it beautiful? On all three of those accounts, audio and visually, it is beautiful, it is fun, and it is engaging. It makes me come back, it makes me breathe with awe, it makes me listen to every corner and every sound around every dark alley or deserted hallway. It's very engaging, very fun, and at times extremely beautiful. There are certain parts in the game where you are taken aback by these absolutely beautiful vistas or incredible architecture that is not possible in real life, and that's exactly what we're looking for in a VR experience, something that you could not see ever. And this is something that I highly recommend for anybody to play through the game, to just see the views. The views themselves are incredible. The starting scene, the first thing that you see in the game is breathtaking. Now getting into the really fun part, let's talk about gameplay, let's talk about replayability, let's talk about after you finish the game, which is fantastic.
There are worlds and storylines that are fully voiced and ready to dive into, let alone campaign or gun modifiers that make a replay of the campaign completely different. This is what the mods can do for Half-Life Alyx, and I highly recommend looking into them at the very least.
Some of them are even fully voiced by Russell and Alex. So that's extremely cool, especially, and I highly recommend this one, the BioShock playthrough, or Return to Rapture, I believe it's called. And it's extremely good. It's shockingly close to the original game in VR. It's like playing BioShock in VR, and that's incredible, with some of my favorite characters from Half-Life. It's combining two of my favorite games, and it is an experience that I would recommend even if you never have played BioShock. The amount of research and development that went into designing this game left very little to be desired. I would love to have two-handed weapons and maybe more of a weapon selection, or maybe more of a selection on attachments, or maybe something along those lines, or customization for your character or something along those lines. But honestly, my first playthrough, my second playthrough, and even my third playthrough, I didn't notice that they weren't there. I thought it was a fully flushed out, extremely fun game. And it could only improve from having these things. It does not subtract by not having these things. They even have reasons why they chose to not include two-handed weapons, and I'm sure they have reasons why they chose not to do the other things as well. They have reasoning behind each and every one of their values that they put into the game, like, for instance, two-handed weapons would be awkward because a gun is a solid object, and now I can move this hand while this hand stays here. It doesn't help the immersion of the game, and I understood that, and I said, you got around that by adding a shotgun, which is classically a two-handed weapon, and you made it one-handed. And you made it still difficult to reload, but not enough to make it annoying. It was a very good balance they had with taking out two-handed weapons. There's even a mod for a bow in the game, which works extremely well. It adds tons of replayability to the game. It's so easily integrated into the game, and Valve and Half-Life Alyx have embraced it so much, it's almost a part of the game to be able to go get mods that change your weapons or give you new ones. And even if you never wanted to mod the game, I believe it is entirely worth your time and money. To play Half-Life Alyx at its most beautiful, you have to have a pretty beefy PC. But to be able to play Half-Life Alyx in general, it seems like you can play it on quite a variety of PCs that can handle PC VR still. I haven't tried it on a lot of different systems, but I have tried it on a few different graphics cards, and with a bunch of different settings, you can get it to run extremely lightweight on a system that usually can't handle even other lesser intense VR games. It sometimes can still handle Half-Life Alyx. Now, I wouldn't be able to end this review without talking a little bit about the John Wick mods. They are incredible. So I used to airsoft for a very long time, and these sets of contractor mods or John Wick mods, whatever you want to call them, feel so very close to airsoft that it even benefited from the techniques that I learned then, which is extremely cool to see within a VR game that doesn't have other real human beings in it that you're playing against. It's very cool to see a system that reflects a real-life interaction with other human beings, like airsoft. It was a very, very close integration between the actions that I was using for both of them. It's not only fun to play, but it's invigorating to watch because it does look like your buddy, your family member is John Wick playing in a simulation. Those mods alone are free things that add an extreme amount of value to Half-Life Alyx. Value in both time and money. It makes the game more valuable to me than other games because now I can use this as somewhat of a party centerpiece. And that makes me really excited for the future of Half-Life Alyx because they did just come out with some mods that look to be involving multiplayer. If they can really nail that, or if Valve ever comes up with an update for Half-Life Alyx to nail multiplayer, two-handed weapons, if they come out with basically any updates, that's just adding an abundance of free value on top of all of this that they've already given for Half-Life Alyx. It is probably my most recommended game on VR. In my opinion, it's the easiest way to show the maximum potential of VR to newer users.
If you are terrified of the main story but want to still explore the mods of Half-Life Alyx, I personally found the mods to be alone worth the price of the game. Now, if that's worth it to you is up to you.
If you are having trouble starting your mods, go ahead and start the main game, and you don't have to play it. You can just start the main game, just stand there, save it, and then exit. Talking about improving Half-Life Alyx is like talking about polishing something that is already extremely well made. I even think that some of the things that anybody would want the game to improve on, those ideas were probably discussed in the development of Half-Life Alyx because of how much R&D and how much research they put into the ergonomics and the creation of Half-Life Alyx. I trust that they have thought of everything or almost everything to the point in which I think all of the ideas that I have had to change Half-Life Alyx, I saw them mention or touch on them within the director's commentary of the main game. So infinite replayability with mods, an extremely beautiful, well-designed storyline, the visuals and audio to engage and keep someone coming back every single day. It is a well-rounded, extremely good game. Thank you for watching this review of Half-Life Alyx, and if you would like to have a shorter review next time, please check out my shorts. Thank you, and see you next time.